Good day, everybody. Welcome to the final leg of our tour of Scotland. Hello to the chat. Christian, Dark, Nick, Kevin. Hope you're all doing very well. Just want to say before we start, there's been a few new subscribers recently. If you're interested in joining us, you are more than welcome. Our streams are on a pretty fairly regular schedule. Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and sometimes on the weekends. Wednesdays being multiplayer, a little bit loose with the rules and just having fun, and the rest on VATSIM a little bit more seriously, and mainly airliner flights. If you wish to get more information on those, come over to the Discord. It's all posted there along with the community. You can say hi, and if you need any help with anything, I'm more than willing to give you a hand getting you going. And Discord links are in the chat and also in the comments on both the YouTube and Twitch comments below. So we're here in Crail where we left off last time. We're going to be flying out of here up to Dundee. We're going to drop in there, do a landing, and then set up again for takeoff. And then we're going to head over to Perth where we're going to end this series. Next week we start our tour of England, and we'll be flying the Airplane Heaven DC-3 on that one. A little bit longer legs and a little bit more back and forth across the country instead of doing the perimeter of England like we did up here in Scotland. So we'll get going down there. Anyway, time to jump on board our Beech 18 here in the Logan Air livery, and we can get the aircraft fired up and ready to go. Alright, so we're on board. We'll get the window open there, and I'm going to get rid of my yoke. I'll open up the cover here. So we'll come down, we'll get everything set. Throttles are set, props are set, and mixtures are set. Fuel is on for both sides. Tail wheels unlocked, parking brakes are set, cowl flaps are open. So we'll turn on the generators and the batteries. Also turn on the mags for both sides. Beacon light is on. We'll also get the seatbelt sign on as well. So we'll start the left engine first. 5 shots on the prime. There we go. We'll lock the primer. So mixture will go fully forward. Prop's going to go fully forward. Throttle crack 1/4 inch. Starter to the left engine. And starting engine number 1. There we go. Engine's up. We're going to go bring her up to about 1,000 RPM. And we'll get ready to start the right engine. So primer, come on, there we go. Primer over to the right. Give her 5 shots. We'll lock the primer. Mixture's fully forward, props fully forward, throttle 1/4 inch. And engine start over to the right engine, and starting engine number 2. There we go. We can close the cover there. Get our nav lights on. Turn the starter to the off position. And we'll bring up engine number 2. A higher idle as well. I'm going to turn up these lights a little bit, just give us a little bit better definition on the panel. And it looks like Kevin, Nick, and Dark are flying with us today, I believe. Avionics are on. Turn the transponder to standby. Oh, for these legs, we're going to go up to about 2,000 feet as our altitude. We're on the coast. Don't have a lot of terrain to worry about, and we're not going that long anyway. Alright, so we're going to come down here, wait for the GPS to warm up. There we go. And okay. Searching for the satellites. There we go. Starting to locate them. mentioned before, in real life, after you got about 4 of them, it would kick over and go into main mode there. There we go. I'm going to set up our flight plan. Fairly simple. We are at EG0 Alpha. So we'll set that up. That's Crail. We are going to EG Papa November. Yeah. That is Dundee. And then from there we are going to Echo Golf Papa Tango, which is Perth. There we go. That's now entered in. Go to flight plan mode. And there's our nav. So we're going to be following the coast up. This is again just a little bit of an indicator to help us with how we're going to be going. So we're going to be using the western runway. The weather is pretty blah, rainstorms and stuff in Scotland, so we're on the few clouds preset. Hopefully with the DC-3 being a bit more robust, we'll be able to fly live weather a bit more often down there. But I think we're pretty much ready to go. Yeah, everything is looking good. Temperatures and pressures are coming up. There's those guys there. That's I believe that's Nick over there. So we're going to head down to runway, I believe it's 27. Anyway, the western runway, the same one we landed on the other day. So let me release the brakes. There we go. Kick the tail around here. Use that engine to help pull us around. Don't have charts for the airport, so I'm kind of just guessing here. Yeah, we can go out this way. It is fairly short, so we'll have to be a little bit careful. Go. And we'll move straight out and take up position here. So as I mentioned last time, this airfield is no longer in use. It is an industrial park. I think they've built a small little racetrack down here. So there's not a lot of aviation done in this little corner of the world, but apparently it was a Royal Naval Air Service RAS field back in, would have been World War I. Alright, so there we are, runway 24. Get the lights up, switch our markers over to flashing, pitot heat on, transponder on out, flaps are 0, add a little bit of trim in, there we go. We are ready to go. Oh, actually, before we roll, something I always forget to do is lock the tail wheel. Alright. Coming up on the power, brakes released. And 30 inches. climb up to 2,000 feet, as I mentioned. It's 500 feet. The autopilot on heading mode. Go to pitch. Pitching nicely. We're going to bring the 30 inches and bring the propeller RPM down to about 21 for climb. It's 1,000 feet. Start our turn out southwards along the water. And the lake shore, or not the lake shore, it's actually the North Sea. Bring her right around to an eastward heading. 2,000 feet coming up. And there's our altitude hold. And there's the airport over there. Very nice. So we're going to bring power back to about, or the props back to 1800. Engines back to 25 inches of pressure. And we'll begin our turn up along the coast. And there's a tip. So this is the Firth of Forth, the Forth River coming out. We came along here last time, and we have south of us on the other side of the Firth is the town of Edinburgh. And I'll turn the name tags on just so we can see where everyone is. Edinburgh's back over that way. Here's the coast. Alright, so Dundee Airport is east-west. It's heading with 270. That shouldn't be an issue. And Perth Airport, we're going to be landing on runway 21 when we get there eventually. So everyone's aware. Beautiful countryside out here. Now we're coming up to a fairly famous place here in Scotland, St. Andrews, considered the birthplace of golf, and where at least some of the British Opens have been held up here. A bit of construction going on down there. Off, close the cowl flaps. Mixture back to about 19 gallons an hour, 20 gallons an hour. And we're cruising. Golf courses down here. I'm not sure if this is the famous St. Andrews golf courses. I think they're actually on the other side, but there's a lot of them in this area. There's the town of St. Andrews coming up. There's the town, and then we got more golf courses over on the north side. Beautiful countryside, as you can see the rolling hills and the water everywhere. Inlets and rivers and channels, historic old towns. Yeah, this is the famous course we're flying over now. Right here on the water. Interesting place to build a golf course. Of course, it's a links course, which I think means it's all scrubland and stuff. It's not like a lot of courses out in the greenery areas. Got a definite feel to them. So we're just coming up over this area here on this little peninsula. This is the Tay River coming up. It's the Tay River, and that's the Firth of Tay. And on the other side of the bridge here is the town of Dundee, Scotland. That's where our first stop is going to be. Again, not long legs on this last little section here, which is why we're doing the two of them together. But if you ever get to be in the area, it is a beautiful place to visit. Interesting story about Dundee. I drove through there once many years ago, and there's a tall ship tied up on the river, and it looked like it was kind of permanent there. So I was like, oh, someday I got to go back and visit that and see it. And there's that stupid game warning. Thought I'd had that shut off. And anyway. On my last trip there, I decided to go see it, so I did a little bit of research, and it turns out there's a permanently moored ship from the 19th century, actually from the very early 19th century, called the HMS Unicorn. So I was like, oh, that must have been the ship I saw. So I went and saw it. Turns out it actually wasn't. The Unicorn was commissioned in the last year of the Napoleonic Wars, so 1815, but it never had its masts put on it. It was a training ship for the Royal Navy, and it was always tied up, and they'd send young midshipmen there to learn Navy skills and how to live aboard a vessel and all that stuff. And it served right up until after World War II, actually. So it's one of the longest serving ships in the Navy, but it never actually put to sea. Never had masts on it. It was always just tied up. It's interesting, and it's actually down in this little harbor area down here is where it's located. I don't know if you saw. Yeah, I see my mouse. It's down in there, so it's rather interesting. Anyway, here's Dundee. We'll swing around, take a look at her. Waterfront town here on the Tay River. In fact, that's it. That's it right there. The HMS Unicorn. Still afloat. Interesting history. There's the airport, Dundee Airport, right on the water. See some of the parks and looks like an old racetrack, athletic fields, downtown area here. All right, so we're gonna start to descend down to 1,000 feet. Pull back a little bit on the power. Start to turn towards the airfield. We're going to cross overhead the field, and then we'll get into a left-hand pattern. As we come in for landing, there's the airfield there. So we'll go into that left-hand pattern. Going a little bit faster. Our landing lights out and on. Here's the airport. So I'll fly back up, out over the water, turn around, come in down the coastline, and we'll come in for a landing. Get rid of that message, get that sun glaring off the water there. Tay River. The bridge here that I drove over when I came in to visit. Start our turn to the east. Second bridge over on the eastern part of town. This little window up here makes it handy on the turns. Alright, so runway heading is going to be 270. Mixture is going fully forward, propeller is going fully forward, lights are on, tail wheel is locked. Make our turn to the north. And there's the airport over there. So, manual control. Carrier turnaround to the west. Pull the power back to 20 inches. Start slowing down. Power back. Gear down. Second notch of flaps. Notch of flaps. About 75 knots. And touchdown about 70. Down. Stay straight. Always with the ground handling on these things. We're going to unlock the tail wheel and get her off the runway into the grass. Get out of everybody's way. There's a grass strip here as well. It looks like. So let's taxi up the grass. Cowl flaps open. Looks like we all made it down. Very good. So runway 21 when we get to Perth. Fun little airplane this, but I wish the ground handling characteristics were a bit more realistic. The DC-3 is a lot better. onto the taxiway proper. This is, I think I got this scenery from Orbex, Dundee Airport. That's why it's looking so nice. Poor ramp guy out there thinks we're stopping. Alright, so we can head off and we'll flying club over there on the other side. Alright, we'll head back out. Get ready to go out again. Once again, we'll go out, we'll circle to the left, circle over the city before we head out on the direction we're going to be heading, which is westward. So let's just set up our EG. Again, we'll go up to, we're going to stay at 1,000 feet this time. Should be good. Alright, so lights are on, mixer's fully forward, props fully forward. Everything is good. Go, lock the tail wheel, and off we go. Brakes released. Our brakes released. Gear up. .500 feet will make a 180-degree turn to the left back along the river. Power back to 25, props back to 2,000. Feet coming up, or 1,000 feet coming up, sorry. We're going to head along the river, so not quite eastwards. There we go. Looks like Nick's rolling. Alright. So our heading is correct. 2,500. We'll bring the props back to 18. There we go. Mixture back to about 19-20 gallons an hour. Landing lights can come off and cowl flaps can close. Once again, there's the airport. They all seem to be up. So we're going to head towards Perth. I think we're going to do it by follow the Tay River, and then we'll cut northwest. Well, we'll go over Perth itself. Town of. We'll follow the river right through the town. Good view down onto Dundee here. Head back over top of the airfield. Follow the Tay River here. So our departure airport on next week's stream. I have not yet looked for any add-on scenery or anything for it. But I believe we're leaving out of Newcastle. Let me just confirm that. Yeah, we're leaving out of Newcastle. Flying southwards. You can see along the river here on the north side some beautiful farmland before the hills settle in. Very good. Everyone's still up and with us. For Newcastle? Yeah, probably. We'll be going into some smaller airfields in England as well, so hopefully there's some good variety and some fairly decent flight lengths of an hour and a half or so, maybe 2 hours, depending on the leg. And hopefully we'll be flying more in the normal weather and at a little bit higher altitude. So this looks like an old disused airfield. I'm not seeing it on my chart. Looks like they've built some buildings on one of the runways anyway. So again, a relic of, it's that triangular World War II shape. It's a little town of Errol. So being put to industrial uses, the land. Here's Errol. Alright, so I'm going to follow the river up here as it heads northwards, or northwestwards. We're going to come to the town of Perth. And then we're going to make a little bit of a turn northeast, or north-northeast, and we're going to come to the town of Scone. And in Scone is where you find Scone Castle, which is famous for having what they call the Stone of Destiny, where all the Scottish kings had to sit to be crowned, and if you didn't sit on it, you would be considered unofficial. It was the stone that was stolen hundreds of years ago by the English, taken south, and apparently sits under the throne at Westminster where they do the coronations today. And it was that was done to give legitimacy to the English kings and when they were saying that they were ruling over Scotland. And it was taken, I believe it was before unification. There's a very famous story about, I think it was in the 50s, maybe before that, where a couple university students broke in and stole it. And they got it back, but then there's another story that goes that they knew the English were coming back when they took it, 1500s I think, early 1600s. And so they had a fake one made and put in its place, and that's the one they took, and the real one was put away somewhere for safety, but they forgot where it was, and now nobody knows where it is. All that good, what would you call it? Good conspiracy theory stuff. Alright, so we're coming up along the river. Little valley here. This is the Tay River. Another one of Scotland's famous rivers. Along with the Dee, the Don, River Isla, the Tay, the Clyde. Start to see a little town of Perth coming into view, past the bridges, and where it opens up and flattens out. Now the castle is on a large chunk of ground where the old town was. So they built it enough. At one point, the Lord of whatever, Earl, Duke, whoever he was, didn't like the old town being right outside his main gates. So he actually had them tear down the old town and build a new town about 2 miles away, which is where the current town of Scone is, and moved everybody over there so that they weren't camped outside his gates, because I think like one of the main streets ran right in front of his the entrance to his lands. He was not happy with that. So there's downtown. You can see the church and the 2 bridges. So here, off the nose on the right, is the new town of Scone. Where's my thing? There we go. Now if we make a left turn, we'll fly over to where the old town was, which I think the only thing that really exists there now is the cemetery. Which is pretty interesting. Some really old gravestones in there. But here's the lands, and somewhere on here should be the castle. I think that's supposed to be it down here. But this is where it is. It's a very nice area to walk to. Head towards the airport now. We're going to be flying over the middle of the airfield, setting up for our arrival. Did see the lights flashing there. Just kind of up over here. We are kind of low. The ground has risen a little bit, but that's fine. There's the airfield right over there. And as mentioned, we're going to be landing on runway 21. It's not a big airport. There's the runway we're going to be landing on, and then we'll be taxiing over, parking in front of the big building hangars over there. Head onto the downwind. And the airport's back over there. Just gonna have to watch for terrain here, since we are fairly low. Alright, so mixture's fully forward, props going fully forward. Get the landing lights on. The lights are good, pitot heat's on, that's all good. 30 knots is fine. And we'll bring ourselves around to a 2-1 heading. Make our final approach of the series. As you can see, we're pretty low. The ground has come up about 600 feet, 500 feet or so. Oh, there's the runway. Power back. Okay, maybe not that far. First notch of flaps. notch of flaps, gear. Third notch of flaps, gear down 3 green, full flaps, mixtures fully forward, props fully forward. Runways identified. Bring that speed back, get her down at 80. Slight crosswind out of the left, not too bad though. There's 80 knots. The trees. There's 70 over the threshold. And we're down. And we're off the runway. That's all good. We'll just taxi down to the end. Release that. My one complaint about this one is ground handling is not too good with it. Anyway, there's the flaps up. Come over here, get those out, landing lights off. And welcome to Perth. Put her onto the grass here. All right, welcome to Perth and welcome to the end of our series. So, bring the engines up to 1,000 RPM, brakes are set, cowl flaps are open. In round engines, it helps prevent shock cooling on air-cooled engines and helps bring the oil around, make sure everything's well lubricated. Alright, right engine, mixture off, props back, throttle to cut off. Mags off, left engine, mixture back, props back, throttle back, mags off, seat can come off, beacon can come off. Transponder off, turn off the lights. Torpedo heat's off, and there we go. So here we are in Perth. Huge thank you to Nick, Dark, and Kevin for flying on this flight. And that wraps up our Scotland series. And once again, we are starting our tour of England next Wednesday. DC3s should be a lot of fun. If you want to join in, come to our Discord, get all the information there, and you are more than welcome to join us. We'll see you all on the next one, everybody. Take care. Bye for now.